Is underway in Cape Town after 7 men were shot dead in Philippi East last night. The victims were aged between 20 and 30, and detectives attached to the Provincial Serious and Violent Crimes Unit have been assigned to the case. Police are appealing for any information that could assist with the investigation. These murders are the latest in a long list of killings that have been taking place in Cape Town. Let's speak now to Llewellyn MacMaster of the Cape Crime Crisis Coalition. Llewellyn, good morning, and thank you so much for your time this morning.
Good morning.
All right. Now, firstly, I think let's start here. To begin, how would you summarize the current situation in Cape Town, especially when it comes to gun-related violence in the Western Cape overall right now?
We definitely have a crisis with regard to gun violence, and it has come up, in every report in terms of crime reports, crime stats. It is a well-known fact because if I just go to the this year's State of the Nation address by the President, then he also highlighted the fact that we have a problem with regard to gun violence and the proliferation of firearms in our community. So it's definitely a problem, and the crime stats show that, Cape Town together, or Western Cape for that matter, together with KwaZulu-Natal and Gauteng, are really the three provinces where this is a well-known problem. So in a sense, when mass killings and shootings like this happen, it's almost like, you want to sigh out of frustration and desperation and say, are we here again?
Yeah.
So that is the situation that one feels.
Now, 490 people killed in gang violence in just 6 months. That is nearly 3 people every single day. Where are these guns coming from?
I think there's a number of sources where people get guns through legal as well as illegal, ownership. And of course, the other matter that comes into play is the fact that our borders are not secure. A recent report from the Global Initiative on Transnational Crime, for example, shows that a lot of weapons are coming over the border from Namibia. Police and army weapons are stolen there and brought to Cape Town, for example. So that is why we say that if the police continue on the same in the same manner, clearly they're not making an impact. And there's Chanela 2 operations where from time to time we hear, and we're glad about that, the police, having found arm caches, ammunition, and so on. But clearly, that is not enough to stop what we are experiencing now. Now, if you put that within what is for decades been called a culture of violence in South Africa, we also know that it cannot just be the police who fight this scourge of gun violence. We will have to, in a sense, use what we call, from the side of the coalition, community intelligence with the crime intelligence to be able to almost proactively anticipate where there may be, where something is planned.
So let's talk about that for a second. Is there a pattern to when and where these mass killings occur?
I think that is our problem. There are certain police stations that stands out, which we in a submission to the acting police minister, also pointed out at least 13 police stations, and the stats in those police stations, like Philippi, shows that these areas need, almost like a higher plan to address the violence. So there are definite hotspots, but we have also found that it can happen anywhere because, shooters, whether it's gang related, whether it's extortion and stuff like that, unfortunately can happen anywhere at any time. And that is the scary part, maybe, of the whole situation that we find ourselves in.
Sure. And what is the Cape Crime Crisis Coalition doing right now in real time to respond to this surge?
I think we continue, because we are a coalition, we continue to work with different organizations, forming partnerships, helping to develop, safety and development plans. Like in Mitchell's Plain, there's a plan that has been developed over past year now. We currently also in conversation with stakeholders from Gugulethu, where we will have our next interfaith gathering also. So we try to bring in, especially the faith leaders also, to play a role. We're talking to sports bodies. We have a meeting set up with a business sector and so on. So because, as I say, because we are a coalition, we are trying to partner with people. We even had a conversation with one of the higher education institutions in the Western Cape also to help us, for example, and put this issue of crime and gangsterism on the agenda for research. So there's a number of things that we're busy with, as I say, and also strengthening existing structures,
Sure.
like the CPFs, the neighborhood watches,
Sure.
recognizing the vital role that they are playing on the ground to combat crime and violence.
So then would you say that there is political will to solve this crisis, or has it just become an acceptable level of violence?
I think, again, that is one of our frustrations. And we have, again, shared it with the minister when he reported back. He was here a month or so ago in Cape Town. At one stage in Mitchell's Plain, he said, there is no plan. And we were worried about that, but at the same time also appreciated his honesty. So he came back with SAP's leadership, was it last week or so, and to say there is an operational plan. We have found funding for that. But again, the proof of that will be in what we will see in concrete steps happening. And there, SAP's leadership must play a role. As a follow-up to that, we had a meeting with the Cape Town Divisional Brigadier also the past week. And we appreciate that, because at least there's a follow-up coming from the police, something that frustrated us in the past, that things are said and no follow-up.
Sure.
This time around, I can say the minister has followed up and kept to his promise. From that meeting, we've already met with the divisional commissioner, and I think that is encouraging, because if we take hands, we can maybe in the end, it's a long-term thing, but we can make impact in our communities.
Now, what is the one thing that you feel is not being talked about that should be at the center of this conversation?
It's difficult to isolate things. I think the corruption within the police is of course a big concern. What's playing out on our television screens with the Madlanga Commission, the parliamentary committee, is the things that's breaking down the morale of communities, the trust that people have. So if the trust is not restored, there will not be community intelligence. People will not trust the police to go to them. So we have to start with that, rooting out corruption, resourcing police stations, especially in the 13 plus areas that we've identified, and equipping the station commanders in things like liaising with community, trusting community, bringing community in, working with community structures. So we have to start with steps on those different levels.
Fantastic, Llewellyn. Thank you so much for your time.